Remember when party foods were a spectacle? Picture a cheese ball the size of a softball, coated in crushed nuts, sitting proudly at the center of the snack table. Or how about those little hot dogs wrapped in crescent rolls? These were the kings and queens of 1960s parties. But where have they gone? Let's revisit 10 groovy party foods that have mysteriously vanished from our modern get-togethers. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Number 1. Pigs in a blanket. First up on our groovy menu, a snack that's all wrapped up in nostalgia. Ever wonder why tiny sausages in dough became the hottest item at every 60s shindig? The story behind these bite-sized morsels might just make you hungry for a blast from the past. Picture this. It's 1965, and you've just walked into a swanky suburban party. The hi-fi's playing the latest Beatles hit, and there, on the coffee table, sits a platter of golden brown bites that everyone's buzzing about. Welcome to the world of pigs in a blanket, the ultimate 60s party pleaser. These little piggies weren't just cute, they were a hostess's secret weapon. Thanks to Pillsbury's introduction of crescent rolls, whipping up a batch became easier than doing the twist. Just wrap, bake, and watch them disappear faster than you can say groovy. Number 2. Ants on a log. From pork to produce, 60s hosts knew how to keep things fun. Remember when vegetables could be an adventure? There was one snack that had both kids and adults happily crunching on celery, of all things. Can you guess what crawled its way into our hearts? Enter Ants on a Log, the whimsical treat that turned humble celery into a playground of flavors. Picture this: crisp celery sticks filled with creamy peanut butter and topped with a trail of raisin ants. It was simple, yet oh so clever. This snack wasn't just about taste, it was a perfect example of the playful spirit that defined 60s party food. Hosts loved it because it was a breeze to prepare, leaving more time for mingling and grooving to the latest tunes. And parents? They were thrilled to have found a way to make vegetables disappear without a single complaint from the kiddos. Ants on a log is simple to make, but oh so good, was the mantra of many a 60s hostess. It was the ultimate conversation starter, too. Imagine the giggles as guests shooed away the ants before taking a bite. Number 3. Chicken a la king. While Ants on a Log brought whimsy to the table, another dish aimed for elegance. Remember when dinner parties felt like royal banquets? There was one creamy concoction that made every guest feel like they were dining with the king himself. Can you guess which regal recipe reigned supreme in 1960s kitchens? Enter Chicken a la King, the crown jewel of 60s comfort food. Picture this: tender chunks of chicken swimming in a velvety sauce, dotted with colorful bell peppers and mushrooms. Served over a throne of fluffy rice or crispy toast points, this dish was the epitome of casual luxury. What made Chicken a la King the ruler of retro cuisine? For starters, it was incredibly versatile. Whether you were hosting a casual family dinner or throwing a swanky soiree, this creamy creation fit the bill. It was easy to prepare in large batches, making it a hostess's dream for feeding a crowd. Number 4. Chicken liver. Rumaki. From creamy comfort to daring delights, 1960s party food ran the gamut. But there was one appetizer that truly tested the limits of adventurous eating. What bite-sized morsel combined 3 unlikely ingredients into a flavor explosion that defined sophistication? Enter Chicken Liver Rumaki, the bold and exotic appetizer that captivated 1960s taste buds. This daring dish wrapped marinated chicken livers and water chestnuts in crispy bacon, creating a unique blend of textures and flavors that epitomize the era's culinary adventurousness. Preparing rumaki was an art form in itself. Hosts would marinate the chicken livers in a mix of soy sauce, ginger, and sometimes brown sugar or pineapple juice. Each liver was then carefully wrapped around a slice of water chestnut, encased in bacon, and secured with a toothpick before being baked or broiled to perfection. Number 5. Lipton Onion Soup Dip. As fancy as rumaki was, sometimes hosts needed a quicker solution. What if we told you that the most beloved party dip of the 60s required just 2 ingredients and 0 cooking skills? This convenience queen changed the game for last-minute gatherings and impromptu get-togethers. Enter Lipton Onion Soup Dip, the savior of busy hosts everywhere. Picture this. You're throwing a party in 1965 and guests are due any minute. No worries. Simply grab a packet of Lipton Onion Soup Mix, stir it into a tub of sour cream, and voila, you've got a crowd-pleasing dip ready in seconds. This simple combo became a cultural phenomenon. As one food historian noted, you could dive into a tangy Lipton onion soup dip at a party, a cultural staple of the time brought to life by simply adding the contents of a soup packet to sour cream. It was more than just a dip. It was a lifeline for hosts who wanted to spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying their own parties. Number 6. Tunnel of Fudge Cake. While quick and easy foods were on the rise, some hosts still craved show-stopping desserts. Remember when cutting into a cake could make your guests gasp? There was one chocolatey creation that did just that, thanks to a secret hidden inside. Can you guess which 1960s dessert had everyone talking and drooling? Enter the Tunnel of Fudge Cake, the runner-up sensation of the 1966 Pillsbury Bake-Off that captured America's sweet tooth. This wasn't your average chocolate cake. It was a dense, rich confection with a surprise waiting inside. When sliced, the cake revealed a gooey, fudgy center that oozed out like melted metal, leaving party guests wide-eyed and reaching for seconds. What made this cake so special? It was all about that tunnel of fudge. The secret lay in a mix of powdered sugar, cocoa powder, and chopped pecans that, when baked, created an irresistibly oozy chocolate center. Topped with a simple glaze or a dusting of powdered sugar, it was a chocolate lover's dream come true. Number 7. Beef Bourguignon. From sweet to savory, 1960s hosts had plenty of options to wow their guests. But one dish stood out as the ultimate culinary challenge. What French-inspired meal had home cooks simmering for hours, all for a chance to say bon appétit with pride? Enter Beef Bourguignon, the hearty French stew that became America's ticket to sophisticated dining. Thanks to Julia Child's popular TV show, The French Chef, this once exotic dish found its way into American kitchens. Suddenly, home cooks were browning beef chuck, sautéing bacon, and deglazing with red wine like pros. It wasn't just about the rich flavors. Making beef bourguignon was a badge of honor. Picture a 1960s dinner party. The host emerges from the kitchen, proudly carrying a steaming pot of this French delicacy. Guests ooh and ah as the aroma of beef, wine, and herbs fills the air. Serving beef bourguignon wasn't just about feeding people, it was a statement. It said, "Look at me, I can master complex French cuisine." Number 8. Party Cheese Ball. While French cuisine dominated dinner parties, another crowd pleaser was taking over the appetizer scene. Ever wonder what savory sphere had guests crowding around the snack table? This cheesy creation became the talk of every 60s gathering. Enter the Party Cheese Ball, the ultimate retro appetizer that rolled its way into our hearts and onto every party platter. Imagine a softball-sized sphere of creamy, tangy goodness, ready to be spread on crackers or celery sticks. The Party Cheese Ball combined the richness of cream cheese with the sharpness of cheddar, all jazzed up with a blend of spices. To top it off, hosts would often roll their cheesy masterpiece in chopped nuts, adding a satisfying crunch to every bite. What made the Party Cheese Ball such a hit? It perfectly captured the 60s love for easy-to-eat, shareable appetizers. Number 9. Stuffed cherry tomatoes. Just as the cheese ball faded into foodie history, another appetizer was rising to take its place. Picture this: a vibrant red orb, small enough to eat in one bite, but packed with creamy, herby goodness. What was this labor-intensive treat that had hosts spending hours in the kitchen, all for a moment of cocktail party glory? Enter the stuffed cherry tomato, the tiny titan of 1960s appetizers. These bite-sized beauties were a hostess's secret weapon, combining visual appeal with a burst of flavor. Imagine the scene: a meticulous host, carefully slicing off tomato tops, scooping out seeds, and filling each miniature shell with a creamy mixture of cheese, mayo, and finely chopped herbs. The appeal of stuffed cherry tomatoes went beyond their taste. They embodied the 60s trend of visually striking, easy-to-eat party foods, perfect for mingling. Number 10. Guess again, carrots. From labor-intensive tomatoes to secretive side dishes, 1960s hosts knew how to keep their guests guessing. Ever heard of a vegetable that played hide and seek with its ingredients? Guess again, carrots were the talk of the town, transforming simple root veggies into conversation starters. But what made this dish so intriguing, and why did we leave it behind? Picture this. You're at a groovy 1960s gathering, and your host serves up a plate of glazed carrots. Sounds ordinary, right? Wrong. These weren't just any carrots. They were Guess Again carrots, a playful dish that turned vegetable eating into a fun guessing game. Hosts would prepare these glazed carrots without revealing the secret ingredients, encouraging guests to put on their detective hats and guess what made them so delicious. The typical preparation was simple yet clever. Carrots were peeled, cut into bite-sized pieces, and cooked until tender. But the real magic happened with the glaze. A mix of brown sugar, butter, and spices like cinnamon or nutmeg created a sweet and savory coating that had guests' taste buds dancing. The surprise factor led to all sorts of wild guesses, from honey to orange juice, making each bite a delightful mystery.